Let's see if I'd say 9. Well, I'm sort of doing the serial killer thing at the moment. I've been watching films on John Wayne Gacy, films on Jeffrey Dahmer, films on Ed Gein, and I sort of want to do a review of some of them. Now, the first one, the first serial killer I did was John Wayne Gacy, and the first one I watched, of course, was a 1992 miniseries, To Catch a Killer. Now, I really remember this one back in the day. I remember watching it. I remember the beginning where the kid is, his mum's picking him up from the pharmacy where he works, and he goes off to meet some guy that, he might get some work from, and then he just never comes back, and the mum's waiting, and that's how it starts. I really remember that. Now, the whole miniseries itself didn't need to be a miniseries. Brian Dennehy plays John Wayne Gacy, and he is amazing. He is domineering and terrifying and all these things that make a great sort of villain. But what I realised, because I had a real sort of soft spot for this film, I thought it was really good, and then I watched it now knowing what I know about John Wayne Gacy, and I see that John Wayne Gacy was actually right when he criticised the film and said it was a total fiction. They've taken a lot of liberties, and like the portrayal of John Wayne Gacy is nothing like what he really is. He's really this whiny, try-hard guy. He's not this sort of scary, domineering, terrifying sort of monster that Brian Dennehy created. And it is a great performance. Meg Foster is also in the film. She plays one of the police chiefs that they have to fight to get search warrants and things from. And Margot Kidder's in the film playing a psychic who helps the detective. And that's the problem with this film. It's really just a procedural, stretched out. It could have been a film, and they stretched it out into a miniseries where it's all about the detective trying to find out where this kid who's gone missing is, and finding basically that it's Gacy, and then trying to get him investigated and get search warrants. And it's like very procedural. The only interesting part is the psychic part with Margot Kidder. That part is interesting. She's amazing anyway. But it really just focuses on just the police side of it, the departmental side of it, all the politics, and it's a bit dry at times. Now, so far as the accuracy, there are parts that they're not the way I've heard that they happen. I heard that they were invited into the house, they smelt what everyone else smelt was death, and that was one of the things they used to justify getting a search warrant. And the first thing they did when they went into the house was go down into the base, into the crawl space, to look for bodies. But in this film, they get a search warrant up front. They don't smell anything, which is impossible because even the neighbours could smell how bad the house was. And they leave without checking out the crawl space, and they don't have enough evidence to charge him. And I'm like, I don't recall it happening like that from all the documentaries I've watched. So they do say at the start that they've changed things and people to sort of basically make the film. And they took some liberties. So John Wayne Gacy was right, because he apparently wrote a letter to Brian Dennehy and said he's one of his favourite actors, but he did him a real disservice and that the film was just a complete fiction. And I really hate to agree with John Wayne Gacy, but he's kind of right. But it is in favour of the film to make this really sort of compelling drama about the police fighting to get this guy investigated, and this guy is this manipulative, scary sort of guy, this big sort of guy. And I get it all works unless you actually know a lot of information about the actual case and John Wayne Gacy, and it's its own beast. It's a good miniseries in that sense. But when you're looking at it, you're going, I don't think this is how it happened. It was more like they didn't know who it was for ages. Then once they realised it was him, they investigated him for a short period of time, and worked out what was happening and got in there and pretty much charged him right away once they had him. This film makes it look like they had him and let him go, and it was like a cat and mouse game the whole time, and while they were investigating him. And there was a period where they were investigating him and they were following him and trailing him and stuff like that. But it doesn't seem the way that plays out in the film. I need to go back and watch some of the documentaries again and see how close it is and how many liberties they've taken. But either way, the performances are great. The suspense and the sort of, building up the tension, all that is good. It just seems kind of forced for the sake of stretching it out for a whole mini-series when it could have just been a movie, and dealt more specifically with the circumstances of the case. But yeah, it was still great. I'm glad I watched it again. I really remembered it back in the day, and it still holds up, except for accuracy. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye.